I don't know how I'm going to die, but I know how I'm not going to die. And that is via great white shark. If I'm going to die via large predator, I would much prefer something like a grizzly bear.
Balance between stress and sensitivity. And like the higher the stress, the lower the sensitivity. The lower the stress, the higher the sensitivity.
Related.
Even in training, right? Like it works like in the broad, but it also works in like the individual.
I don't like to have a lot of money because I don't need to make more money. I'm more interested in the person who has failed and is still going than I am in the person who has been unblemished and kind of starting out on a good trajectory.
I went through this phase where I was really kind of frustrated with science in general. I love science, appreciate science, but it's become sort of like a religion and it has flaws. It isn't a perfect system.
Humans, we're not the center of like life. We're, part of a process.
Or it wasn't God. It was
greater
this
than
process of evolution.
Yeah, like you're just here's you are a leaf over here on this branch of this tree. Don't try to deny any part of yourself.
Integrate.
Yeah. I know for me, I don't know how I'm going to die, but I know how I'm not going to die. And that is via great white shark. Like absolutely no way am I dying by great white shark killing me, because that's the worst case scenario to me. I'm out of my element. I'm just bobbing in the water. And this 20-foot long, 5,000 pound freight train with teeth.
Killing machine.
Yeah, like literally, no thank you. Like and it's not even so much its physicality, it's its lack of emotionality. So if I'm going to die via large predator, I would much prefer something like a grizzly bear, because I can relate to this creature. Like it's got a territorial element to it, and it probably gets angry seeing like another male mammal like in its space, and like it's gonna be angry, and it's going to roar, and I'm gonna see some emotion in its eyes. So I personally, if I'm going to be killed by something, would vastly prefer it to be mauling by bear compared to just absolutely being shredded by shark. So anyways, I tell this as the end.
This was your anecdote. By the way, I love the way that your mind works.
Right. This is how we lead into dying.
I need a noble animal, and I need a real fight between mammals that understand each other, and that is a way that I'm willing to die by a creature. But
anyways, the following day, I'm going to teach a class or whatever. I'm in the hallway and I see the department chair, and she's like, so can I have a word with you for a minute? I was like, yeah, sure. By the way, this is like week 3 or something, first year. I'm like, oh, she just wants to check up on me, see how everything's going, blah, blah, blah. So I'm in her office and she's like, how's everything going? You all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing great. So far, I'm loving it. And she's like, yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about something. What's this about dying by bears? And I was like, it's just this story I tell in the aging lecture. Like, it's just kind of a funny joke, She's like, well, I don't find anything that funny about it. I don't understand why it's in your exercise testing and prescriptions class. It was brought to my attention by a girl who raised a complaint against you. Apparently her uncle was mauled by a bear this past summer, and she was highly offended by this story. And I was just like, oops. I was so confused by this. And I was like, God damn it. Like, what are the chances?
Yeah, the odds that you had someone in your class.
Yeah, my bizarre brain just kind of like spitting out this story, like on the fly, like happens to correspond exactly with this girl's poorly timed uncle bear mauling thing. But it was just like, oh my God, like the odds of that are so infinitesimal, and yet it's already like being brought up as a formal complaint about me at this school. I told you the red meat was bad, and I was like, yeah, but you didn't know why. And as a result of that, you can now just cease and desist with your explanation. Because you still didn't know why. Just because you happened to be right coincidentally by chance.
What do you think is going to happen with colleges, with schools? Because this is the problem that you're articulating is a real problem, and it's getting like worse and worse. Yeah. Professors can't say anything, and they don't want to do it.
I think that we have this currently, there's the overreactions to things are so powerful. And it's hard, like even on an individual level, people overreact to situations. I'm an overreactor for sure. Like, you know, I'm an emotional person. My reactions can be big. And then with given enough time, I can kind of calibrate and reassess and sort of make more intelligent decisions and things like that. But I just think culturally we're so reactive and then reflective. You know, if you're going to be reactive, you better balance it with being reflective. And if we don't have the ability to be reflective, and it's almost like we have reactiveness, but then just criticism and being very critical on the reactive responses that people have, rather than like a thoughtful, reflective perspective on it.
Yeah. As you were speaking, I was just thinking of this like balance between stress and sensitivity. And like the higher the stress, the lower the sensitivity. The lower the stress, the higher the sensitivity. And in our overall state, like there's not a lot of stress. There's not a lot of like
pestilence.
Yeah. Right. There's not a lot of the classic problems of humanity, but we're way more sensitive to like any problem that could come by.
That's I like that sensitivity and stress. I mean, it's very training
like
related.
even in training, right? Like it works like in the broad, but it also works in like the individual. Just in training, when you're exposing yourself to high levels of stress, you're just less sensitive.
Yeah. What do you feel during a 1 rep max back squat? Like
you don't. The stress is too high.
It either moves, like I don't know what's moving this thing, or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And you don't know why it didn't go.
Right.
Other than the fact that it was like, like you just mechanically broke.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's almost like this like fundamental effect, like in us, a force of nature. Or maybe like or some sort of balance, some sort of math equation that's like happening.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about.
Right.
Because overall life is not that hard for most people. And it's like, I go out of my way to build in artificial stress, you know, because like it's not like being forced upon me. It's not like I have to work on a railroad for 10 hours a day with a sledgehammer.
But I think that's why we're like, all the three of us are so committed to bringing stress into our lives in ways that we can control and manage.
Yeah.
Like the type of stress that we want.
I'm usually looking for more of it.
Right? I think we really value that. Like so much that we've committed our lives and our careers to like helping people bring that in ways that empowers them or makes them less sensitive.
Well, it's like definitely like one of the things we always discuss is this X factor of like the things that you learn in the gym and how they kind of start to seep into other parts of your life. And that's like a huge part of it. Like if you can manage stress in the gym, if you can deal with heavy weight on your back or being out of breath or whatever, it's just something that like kind of carries over and gives you like kind of the tools to manage that, you know, regardless of the situation. So again, it's that push-pull of like, I know how to manage this stress, so my sensitivity to like other shit is way lower.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I really do love this concept. Like, and I don't know, like I feel like there's days where if I don't do anything, how difficult it is almost to like go to sleep at night. You know what I mean? Like I want to be tired
so that
I can relax and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise it almost feels like there's just either something missing or like, you know, I'm kind of itchy to move. And I do think like just biologically, like there has to be these drives for you to want to do new things and to push the envelope. And I'm grateful for like my itchiness as a person, you know, like if you're not uncomfortable, you're not going to do anything. Like if you're comforted, like if like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, every single need is a check in that box. You don't need anything. You're not going to do anything. Why would you? You're satisfied. And so, you know, being unsatisfied is actually a gift, you know, like, because it's going to cause you to do something. Like, you know, I have kind of like if I explain my financial strategy of life to like any financial advisor, they'd probably think I was crazy, but I don't like to have a lot of money because I don't need to make more money.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm actually fiscally irresponsible, it forces me to keep working and solving for it. Like I refused to take any stimulus money because I needed to figure out how to survive in an unsurvivable financial environment of COVID where jobs are canceled and businesses are closed. And I had to solve for it with digital stuff. And as a result of that, like my financial path improved dramatically compared to pre-COVID. But it's a way of life for me. Like
Totally.
I literally go out of my way to paint myself into corners so that I have to come out swinging to defeat whatever it is. And like I talked to my therapist about this and she's like, well, this is a typical thing for children that lived in really bad environments, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but
dude,
can't you see how I'm actually grateful for this? Like I'm more interested in the person who has failed and is still going than I am in the person who has been unblemished and kind of starting out on a good trajectory. Like I really value people who have had their teeth kicked in and despite that are like still absolutely chipping away and living it and pushing forward from there.
I went through this phase where I was really kind of frustrated with science in general because it gives us so much information on like the generalities, but it kind of cuts out the outliers of everything. And there's so much that we could figure out and learn if we just did more studying of the outliers of anything and studying the individual freak cases where like blank happened. Something is going on there.
Right.
But those cases tend to get eliminated from studies. They don't get investigated fully properly.
What's a typical resting value of lactate? 2.2 millimoles per liter. What is lactate capable of going up to with exhaustive cardiorespiratory exercise? Anybody know like a VO2 max lactate level?
And I think those are the keys to us pushing forward in really big ways, but they don't really fit in the classical way of doing science. I love science, appreciate science, but it's become sort of like a religion. And it has flaws. Like it isn't a perfect system.
Copernicus, Freud, and Darwin. And it was because they unearthed the centrality of the human from the universe more than anything else. And I was reminded of
People
it
don't
by
like
you
that.
talking about the horse of your subconscious earlier.
Yeah.
Where, Copernicus, I think it was Copernicus, but he had the heliocentric universe. And it's like, oh, you mean to tell me that the Earth is not the center of the universe, the sun, but obviously that's not even close now. But it rocked us as a species and we hated him for it. Dude. Because it's like, wait, you're telling us we're not the center of it all? Like you.
Yeah.
And then Freud saying, by the way, you're actually not the center of your own internal reality. Your subconscious is far more powerful than your conscious mind.
Right.
So it like dislodged us from thinking we're in control in the center of our own lives. And Darwin basically saying, by the way, like humans, we're not the center of like life. We're part of a process.
Or it wasn't God. It was
greater
this
than
process of evolution.
Yeah, like you're just here's you are a leaf over here on this branch of this tree.
Yeah.
That's all you are. So we're not the center of the universe. We're not the center of life on this planet, which is not the center of the universe. And even in our own lives, our conscious controlling parts are not the center of ourselves.
Right.
So who are you? What are you? You dust speck that doesn't realize you're a dust speck that's actually not even the commanding agent of your own dust speck.
But ultimately, it's
freeing though.
What's truthful about it too, is the theories can still come together. Like the God theory can match up with the evolutionary theory. The spec theory and the self theory can also come together. There's ways. It's all the way that you perceive it and the way that you work through, the way you sort it out to yourself. That's where all the magic sort of happens.
Yeah.
Is the way that you create the story about it. Like whether it's God or evolution, that's part of your story. It's happening.
There's certain elements that fit that archetype of person. There's going to be ego, there's going to be a tenacity, there's going to be I feel it in myself, like a retribution element of myself, a vengeance mode that I don't like necessarily, but it's like, it's there. Like, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
Deny its existence and its presence? No, like that's part of probably what fuels me. It's like that double-edged sword of like, this is just an attribute and it can swing this way and get ugly. It can come back this way and be really good. It's like, in some ways, I think the loyalty I have towards people that I feel like are like ride or die with me, it's like, you want me on your ship if we're sailing into do battle. You don't want me if I feel like you sabotage me at some point, because I'll like never forget it ever. And like 30 years from now, I might be like, oh, here's my opportunity. I'm gonna slit your throat. And so it's like, well, but which of those do I want to do? Like, I want to be more on the side of just finding my people. Not everyone's going to be your people, and that's fine. They're just a different thing that I don't necessarily need to have. And but it's like, which do I want to focus on? Where do I want to take that? And so I just think that for everybody, like, there's all you have are your attributes, and you're never going to escape those things. It's just, what do you want them to be pushed towards? If you can, because I just feel like there's so much in old fables, like the angel and the devil sitting on opposite shoulders, where can you come to appreciate and recognize your devils and see your angels at the same time and know that they're both part of you at the same time? And like, don't try to deny any part of yourself.
Integrate.
Yeah.